What's up, folks? I'm Odd, by the way, if you've forgotten the millennium that I was gone. Today we're going to be doing something obviously a little bit different. You can see my hands. I've never been so insecure about how I hold a pen before. But today we're going to be taking a look at the Ohuhu alcohol marker set. I actually have very little experience with alcohol markers, really none, especially to this degree. But I got their skin color set because I was interested in it. And the pack came with, at least the one that I got, came with 24. It looks like there's a 36 tone one too. But I got the 24 pack, came out like $25, which is definitely not like super expensive, I think, for any alcohol markers. I was considering looking into Copics, but dear God, they are very pricey. So yeah, the whole kit comes with a swatch card, which I filled out, and this little piece of plastic that you can put between papers that I probably should have utilized, but didn't. I just kept it over there. And I decided to dump all of the markers out and swatch them and stuff like that. The pack, the 24 pack that I got, comes with, I think all of them do actually come with the colorless blender, which I think is essentially the alcohol mixture that they put into their markers. And then here's me grabbing a pen and writing down all of those for swatching onto my notebook from when I took an acrylics class. That's a kind of a mixed media paper. Probably wasn't the best one to work with here, but I rolled with it. It was what I had. So the pack itself comes with, ready for this, quince, yellow ochre, mahogany, terracotta, cadmium yellow, brun, morin, natural oak, burnt sienna, reddish yellow, buttercup yellow, not buttercup, thin persimmon, hazelnuts, pastel peach, barely beige, powder pink, fruit pink, honey, pale mauve, colocasia tonoimo, I'm just going to call that one cola, pear color, pale cherry pink, warm gray zero, potato brown, and of course that colorless blender, which I used maybe twice in this video and I never really figured out how to work with it. Is the idea really behind alcohol markers is that they layer really well as opposed to water-based markers, and I've tried this myself, obviously. I think after seeing a video where somebody layered markers and I didn't know, I tried it myself, and like it works a little bit with water-based markers, but then it just destroys the paper because they're water and they just dissolve the paper. That's my cat. She makes a couple of cameos in this video. So obviously I'm a digital artist, so this is all kind of new to me. The reason that I picked them up is mainly because I heard from Drawing with Waffles, or Bryn, I think, she was into digital art and got alcohol markers because, my cat again, because she said they were the closest to her to digital art. And that interested me, so I picked some up for myself, and I do really like, from the future, I do really like them. Spoilers. But it was interesting to get into. I'm not without traditional experience. Okay, I do know how it works sometimes. I'm just not great at it. But I did take a good few traditional art classes. Like I took art courses at a community college, and they're fairly technophobic, which I guess makes sense because it's like the students that would have any experience in computers, I guess they expected to go over to graphic design, but I'm not a graphic designer. And I think that the reason why I mainly do digital art and why I started off with it, like I like doing anything with my hands. So I like creating anything, but I think the reason that I especially glommed onto digital art was because of how like accessible that it can be. Because it's like digital art is something that it requires a few pre-existing large purchases, so it's not appealing, because you at least need, if you're starting out, if you're 13, 14-year-old like I was trying to copy speed paints, then you were mainly dealing with a computer, hopefully with a mouse and not a trackpad, and an art program of some sort. And those can be free, even, either the cracked version of Paid Tool Sci that I initially got, GIMP, or Krita. Krita, I will highly recommend Krita. As opposed to digital art, or as opposed to traditional art, which is also quite a bit harder to share, and I would say consists of some, possibly, depending on the situation, in the moment, cheaper purchases, and more likely to be accessible to you, I don't know, when you're younger, crayons, markers, and you can get good with those types of things, but it's consistent purchases, you get something digitally, and you have it forever. It's also easier to share, I think, which is another reason that I got into it, was because of speed paints, and it's much easier, obviously, to share something recorded if you're doing it on a computer. Like, for instance, this segment, my desk, is definitely not set up for traditional art. I basically had my little secretary desk pulled all the way out, and then I jerry-rigged a mic stand and a pop filter that I never wound up using into this thing that I could rubber band my phone to, so that I could use it and look down onto my desk, which I also covered with white paper. And yeah, it's not the most convenient method. In fact, the camera cuts out quite a few times because it runs out of space, because it's a phone. It is not meant to record 2+ hours of content. But, I persevered, and I think that I got some decent footage out of it, at least. I might come back around to this when it's when I have maybe something a little bit easier to record with, or whenever I get better at working with these types of markers. That being said, I went off kind of a tangent here. I think the accessibility does not equal a lack of value or of pricing in digital art. So yeah, and then of course I said, because I watch a lot of drawing with waffles videos to get myself pumped up for art, I had an idea of how to approach these. So I did, I think, get into them a little bit faster. And beyond these, I think that these might replace, or I guess based off of how I use them, come in a tie with watercolor pencils with some of my favorite traditional medium. I'm not great at either, but I think that they're a lot of fun. I basically started in with trying to sketch in markers and stuff like that, because I have these water-based markers that I like to play around with in my sketchbooks mainly, and I'll start by sketching with them. So usually it's just something loose, and then I will draw with pen or something like that over top of it, and call it a day. And in this circumstance, it didn't really turn out that well. I tried doing an ink line work, which probably would have worked out had I let it dry, and it got smudged everywhere. And then I found this pencil technique that I really liked. I grabbed some of my watercolor pencils, actually, and I sketched in one color, and then I took the marker and drew over that. And there was still a little bit of opacity between layers. You can't really see it in the setup that I have here, but it did allow me to see things and stuff like that. And I went in at one point with a purple, just another purple watercolor pencil that turned out really pretty, and I think I drew a couple little hearts around it, but you can't really see it because my camera is in a weird position. So yeah, I spent a little while basically trying to get used to these, and then I wound up accidentally designing this character, and then this is where my camera started blipping out a little bit. So I messed up that whole area of recording and didn't notice that my phone had stopped recording that portion of drawing, and so I went back in and I actually flipped the page back over to show a little bit of what I've been working on. I'd also figured out this technique that I really liked, where it was like, and I don't know if this ruins either of them. It didn't seem to carry over any like smudge on the marker itself, but if I went over the area that I had lined basically with the watercolor pencil, the purple one, it created this kind of pink overlay that I really thought looked pretty. And among these colors, I was especially obsessed with honey and hazelnuts, which I think I wound up using for the eyes and hair of the character here. I layered them over each other at one point just by accident because they look kind of similar. That's funny because hazelnuts is like my favorite shade of green that doesn't know that it's brown. Yeah. When I went to my final result, I wound up character, and you can see in this one of the sketches that I forgot to record the drawing of. I decided to make a draw an angel because it felt like my excuse to kind of draw as much skin as possible. It's kind of why I usually draw angels, seraphs and stuff like that, as an excuse to draw a pretty girl with wings. I also take this approach with angels that I draw their halos as sort of horns that meet in the back and then converge right around the middle, so that they create that kind of loop design, and I think that it looks really cute. So we wound up doing one of my quote-unquote seraphs, and just really coloring in that in with the markers and working with the watercolor pencil. Oh yeah, and if you're wondering where I've been, there's a lot been happening. I quit my job. My boss, my neighbor who hired me, got fired, and it was not a great place to be, so I left. That being said, there's probably going to be a few more videos a bit more frequently for a little while, while I'm between jobs. So, plus, I also got a kitten. Probably saw her quite a few times throughout this video. She's very opinionated about when and where I can draw, so that'll be fun. Thankfully, she's sleeping right now. She's not protesting, so that's good. That was the end of it. I wound up going in with another one of my, I guess, pre-existing art supplies, which was a white gel pen, and filling in a little bit more of the wing area that I think wound up getting destroyed by shadows that I didn't intend to, and the whites of the eyes and stuff like that, and basically called it done. Probably see the finished result around here somewhere. And let's see, so what did we learn today? We learned that it's very hard for me to finish traditional art. I'm probably not that great at watercolor pencils or alcohol markers. But at that, I think I'm going to leave that there. Let me know if you liked this video and if you would like to see more of me possibly doing traditional stuff, or, I don't know, drawing more angels or people or whatever. A comment would be great. You can always subscribe. I'm probably going to have more videos, and I will see y'all next time.